Ever since Monument F was first excavated in 1946, many have wondered if this sculpture is depicting an African man with an afro, and of course the American Afrocentrist and American Aboriginals run with it.
Monument F from the Olmec ruins of Tres Zapotes. Addressing their claims that Monument F is depicting an afro. They claim this old black and white picture of Monument F is displaying an afro on top of the head. They don't realize that the top of the head is eroded due to being exposed to the elements for over 2,000 years. This erosion on top of the head of Monument F gives off the illusion of an afro or perhaps black hair texture. However, as you can clearly see that the entire sculpture has erosion too. The old black and white photo of Monument F gives off the impression of dark skin of black people. Furthermore, if you look at Monument F through a modern-day color photo, you can see the sculpture is lighter and the superficial similarity of an afro is less obvious. The monument is just made from basalt stone, which is a volcanic rock, which is usually gray or tan in color. Trying to find skin color in a rock is crazy local. Maybe you can nitpick and see an afro, but it's obvious that Afrocentrists are only seeing superficial similarity between erosion and many Afro styles. They get wild with the superficial similarity. To all those who do this, when you compare the traditional Afro hairstyle of proud black Africans to any Olmec heads is disrespectful to the black diaspora, as you are making a mockery of black hairstyles.
Some scientists and historians have speculated that Monument F could be a half-man and half-monkey deity because it is in the same position as Monument 56, which is also known as monkey looking at the sky. The Olmecs had some half-animal and half-human deities, as you can see in this half-man and half-jaguar jade mask. The Olmecs also had half-man and half-monkey deities too. Scientists have found offerings such as jade axes under Monument F and Monument 56 when both monuments were first excavated. Some scientists and historians have said that Monument F doesn't resemble a human because it has some closer resemblance to Monument 56, and both sculptures are depicted in the same position. So why would anyone compare themselves or their own people to Monument F when it doesn't resemble a real human at all? The sculpture could be a monkey.
For whatever the reasons why the Olmecs made Monument F, whether it's just a crude depiction of local populations, or a half-man and half-monkey deity, we know that Olmec artists carved this monument. On many of the smaller Olmec sculptures, you can obviously see straight-combed hair, as you see clearly with this King Jade sculpture. Here is the Olmec Queen. As you can clearly see, she has long straight-combed Native American hair. There is just no Afro depictions on any of the Olmec sculptures.
Let's not forget the braids that are displayed on a few of the Olmec colossal heads. The Hoteps and Copper Aboriginals claim these are either cornrows or African braids.
Braids are nothing new to Native America. In fact, many indigenous American cultures throughout the Americas have sported braids for thousands of years. Many different braided hairstyles have existed throughout the Americas from North America to the Andes. Here are some indigenous North Americans and Mesoamericans with several braids. Here is an Inca mummy with hundreds of small tight braids, and these braided hairstyles are also found on thousands of mummies across Western South America. It is absolutely possible for people with straight hair to make their hair to fit just about any type of braided hairstyle, including ancient indigenous American cultures. Both men and women in cultures who traditionally had long hair often played with and experimented with their hair, often creating their own fashion trends. Ancient Africans or ancient black Aboriginals did not introduce braids to the Americas. That's just silly culture vulture superficial similarity propaganda.
You know, the American Aboriginals and American Hoteps love to claim that ancient black Americans sported dreads?
That claim is silly and ridiculous. Many native cultures across the Americas made their own version of hair gels to hold the hair of both men and women in place for various hairstyles, including dreads. Dreads are nothing new to Native America. The natives across the Americas have been sporting dreads and braids for many thousands of years. Once again, the Hoteps and wannabe Aboriginals are seeing superficial similarities, even with hairstyles. Now back to Monument F. We can clearly see this sculpture isn't an accurate depiction of any human population. It's either a crude depiction of local populations or a half-monkey and half-man deity. The top of the head is just erosion giving off the impression of an Afro. The Hoteps and wannabe Aboriginals often confuse simple erosion being an Afro. The erosion is all over Monument F. How can anyone not see that?
What about these claims? Some American Afrocentrists claim that Monument F is depicting a black man's flat-top hairstyle and an African man's widow's peak.
That's absolutely insane and crazy local. First of all, there are several Olmec sculptures that show both Native American phenotype with a widow's peak. Some indigenous Americans of the Western Hemisphere do have widow's peak hairlines. Widow's peak isn't limited to the black diaspora. Secondly, as you can clearly see, the top of the head of Monument F is flat and has a built-in bowl, which is designed to hold sacred chocolate drinks or even human blood as offerings to the Olmec deities. The ruling class of the Mayans, Olmecs, and Aztecs were well known to give their own blood to their messiahs and deities as offerings through a process of sacrificial self-inflicted bloodletting.
Of course, the Afrocentrists claim that the Olmec colossal heads in Monument F is depicting wide nostrils and full lips of the black diaspora. What about those claims?
Like I explained in previous videos, wide nostrils, broad noses, and full lips are not limited to the black diaspora. These features are found on most tropical human populations living in warm, humid, or tropical climates around the globe. Indigenous populations of Central Africa, West Africa, Southern Asia, and the Pacific Islands often have broad noses and sometimes full lips, which is a natural adaptation to warm, humid tropical climates. Indigenous Americans living in the tropical regions of the Amazon, Central America, southern Mexico, and the American Southeast have developed wide nostrils, broad noses, and full lips. The indigenous American populations of southern Mexico to Central America resemble the Olmec colossal heads the most. As you can clearly see, the comparisons between the Olmec colossal heads and tropical native populations of the region are the closest and on point. As I said earlier, Monument F is not a real depiction of any human. But the wide nostrils and full lips that is depicted on the sculpture are also found on tropical indigenous American populations, even though the nose and lips on Monument F are exaggerations.
Okay, as for the nickname of Monument F, which is called El Negro, let's put to rest that name. When Monument F was first excavated in 1938, some of the archaeologists and workers thought many of the monuments were depicting black people, hence the name El Negro. The name El Negro was born. But the real archaeological name for it is Monument F.
Let's wrap this up. There is no Afros, black hair texture, or African braids found on any Olmec, Mayan, or Aztec sculptures. The American Afrocentrists are only seeing superficial similarities. Not to mention, all ancient remains of Mesoamerica, including the Olmecs, have been DNA tested to either have haplogroups A, B, C, and D, which are Native American DNA markers. The Olmecs have haplogroup A, which is also found among the Inuit, Choctaw, and some in the Andes and Amazon. Case closed. The Olmecs and all Mesoamericans, including all of Native America, have never been black African or black Aboriginal. Nuff said.